The sun beat down on the cracked earth of the Arizona Territory, a relentless hammer against the will of any man foolish enough to challenge it. Elias Vance, a cowboy with a face weathered by sun and sorrow, plunged his shovel into the stubborn soil, each grunt a testament to his fading hope. His ranch, a small spread of dusty corrals and a sagging cabin, was dying. The well, once a reliable source of life, had dried up, leaving his cattle parched and his dreams turning to dust. Days bled into weeks, marked only by the escalating desperation. Elias's hands were raw, his muscles screaming, but he pushed on, driven by a stubborn pride and the haunting memory of his family who had succumbed to the harsh realities of this unforgiving land years ago. He was alone now, save for his loyal but equally weary horse, Dust. The solitude amplified the biting wind that carried no promise of rain, only the scent of dry earth and the distant howl of a coyote, a sound that echoed his own internal despair. He remembered stories of others who had faced similar droughts, of families packing up what little they had left and heading east, defeated. But Elias was rooted here, in this unforgiving landscape that had claimed so much, yet still held a strange, undeniable pull. He felt a deep connection to the land, a silent promise that somewhere, somehow, life would find a way to persist, just as he intended to. His gaze swept across the arid expanse, a landscape both beautiful and brutal, where survival was a daily gamble. Suddenly, his shovel struck something hard, not rock, but something smoother, metallic. He knelt, brushing away the loose dirt, and uncovered a tarnished silver necklace. It was intricately crafted, adorned with turquoise and red coral, clearly of Native American origin, specifically Apache. A strange current ran through him as he held it, a feeling he couldn't quite place, not of finding water, but of finding something equally profound. He looked around, the vast, empty desert stretching to the horizon, wondering how such an artifact came to be buried so deep, so far from any known Apache camp. The necklace felt warm in his hand, almost alive, a stark contrast to the desolate environment surrounding him. He tucked it into his pocket, a small, unexpected discovery in a sea of hardship, unaware that this seemingly random find would soon reroute the course of his desolate life, linking him to a world he barely knew existed. This is just the beginning of Elias's journey. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe to the channel to follow Elias's story and see how this Apache necklace changes everything. Back at his desolate cabin, Elias cleaned the silver necklace. The intricate carvings and the vibrant stones seemed to hold a silent story. He had traded with Apache tribes before, knew their craftsmanship, but this piece felt different, older. It sparked a curiosity within him, a pull away from his immediate worries of the drought. He tried to recall any encounters in this specific area, any legends or tales passed down by settlers or even overheard in the dusty saloons. Nothing came to mind. This part of the territory was considered largely uninhabited by the Apache, their main presence being further north in the rugged mountains. The necklace became an unexpected focus, a distraction from the grim reality of his dwindling water supply. He found himself turning it over and over in his calloused hands, tracing the lines of the silverwork, feeling the smooth coolness of the stones. He wondered who had worn it, what its significance might have been. Was it lost, stolen, or intentionally buried? The questions swirled in his mind, offering a brief respite from the relentless anxiety about his dying ranch. He even tried showing it to some passing traders, rugged men who knew the territory well, but none recognized the specific style or could offer any explanation for its presence so far south. Their shrugs and dismissive comments only deepened the mystery, solidifying Elias's feeling that this was something unique, something meant to be found. He decided then that he wouldn't just tuck it away and forget about it. He felt a strange obligation to understand its origins, a feeling that grew stronger with each passing day under the unforgiving sun. Sleep offered little escape. His dreams were filled with hazy images of desert landscapes and fleeting glimpses of faces he couldn't quite make out. The necklace often featured prominently, shimmering in the darkness. He woke each morning with a renewed sense of purpose, the need to unravel the mystery of the Apache jewelry, now intertwined with his desperate search for water. It was as if the necklace itself was guiding him, whispering secrets he couldn't yet understand, hinting at a path beyond the parched earth and his solitary existence. He knew, deep down, that his life had taken an unexpected turn the moment his shovel struck that piece of silver in the dry earth. Driven by a hunch, Elias rode dust west, further into the arid expanse, the silver necklace a cool weight against his chest. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, only that the direction felt right. He scanned the horizon, his eyes trained to pick up any sign, a broken twig, a misplaced stone, anything that hinted at human passage. Days blurred under the scorching sun. He rationed his remaining water, the urgency of his ranch's plight a constant shadow, yet the pull of the mystery kept him going. Then he saw it. Faint tracks in the hard-baked earth, almost erased by the wind and time, but undeniably there. Small footprints, not of cattle or wild animals. He dismounted, kneeling to examine them closely. The pattern suggested moccasins, Apache. Hope flickered within him, fragile but persistent. He followed the almost invisible trail, his senses on high alert. The landscape was unforgiving, rocky and sparse, offering little cover. He knew he was venturing into territory where a lone cowboy was vulnerable, but the sense that he was on the verge of a significant discovery outweighed the risk. The necklace in his pocket seemed to hum with a faint energy, a silent confirmation that he was on the right path. The tracks led him through a narrow canyon, the towering rock walls offering a brief respite from the sun's intensity. As he emerged on the other side, the landscape opened up into a hidden valley, a stark contrast to the barren terrain he had been traversing. Here there was vegetation, a small, trickling stream, and in the distance the faint outline of what looked like a small encampment, a wisp of smoke curled into the clear sky, a sign of life. Elias reined in dust, his heart pounding. He was close. The necklace had led him here, but what awaited him? He felt a mix of trepidation and anticipation. He was a stranger entering their world, and the silver necklace, his only guide, now felt like both a key and a potential burden. Elias approached the encampment cautiously, leading dust. The air was still, the only sounds the gentle murmur of the stream and the distant call of a bird. As he drew closer, he saw figures moving. Women tending to small fires, children playing, and a few men, their expressions wary as they noticed his approach. He stopped a respectful distance away, raising his hands slowly to show he meant no harm. A woman stepped forward, her bearing regal despite her simple attire. Her eyes, dark and piercing, met his directly. She was older, her face etched with the wisdom and hardships of her people. Around her neck, Elias saw a necklace strikingly similar to the one he had found, though hers looked older, more worn. A jolt went through him. He reached into his shirt and carefully pulled out the silver pendant, holding it out for her to see. A gasp rippled through the small crowd that had gathered. The woman's eyes widened, and she spoke in a language he didn't understand, her voice filled with a mixture of surprise and reverence. One of the younger men, who Elias recognized from previous trading encounters, stepped forward. "She asks where you found this," he translated, his gaze fixed on the necklace in Elias's hand. Elias explained about digging for water, about the dry well and the parched earth of his ranch. As he spoke, the older woman never took her eyes off the necklace. When he finished, she spoke again, her tone urgent. The young man translated, "This belonged to our shaman, many blessings. She disappeared many years ago. We thought it lost forever." A profound realization washed over Elias. The necklace wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a link to a lost soul, a lost history. He had stumbled upon something sacred. The woman, Many Blessings' sister, saw something in Elias's honest eyes, a respect for the artifact he had unearthed. She invited him into their camp, a gesture of trust that eased the tension in the air. Elias has made contact. What will he learn about the necklace and the lost shaman? Subscribe now to continue following this captivating story. Inside a small, hide-covered dwelling, the older woman, whose name was Chaytonah, shared the story of many blessings. Her voice was soft, tinged with a lingering sadness. Many Blessings had been a powerful healer and spiritual leader of their band, deeply connected to the land and its spirits. One day, many years ago, she had gone out alone to gather medicinal herbs and never returned. They had searched for her tirelessly, but found no trace. The necklace, a gift from her grandmother, was her most cherished possession. Its disappearance was a source of deep sorrow and a symbol of their lost hope. Chaytonah explained that the necklace held special significance, believed to carry some of Many Blessings' spiritual energy and connection to their traditions. Its reappearance after so long was seen by some as a sign, perhaps even a message. As Chaytonah spoke, Elias listened intently, feeling the weight of the discovery. He hadn't just found a piece of jewelry. He had unearthed a piece of their history, a tangible reminder of their loss. He realized the profound impact his discovery had on these people, the rekindling of a hope they had long since abandoned. He also learned about their struggles. Their traditional water sources were also dwindling, the changing climate and the encroachment of settlers making life increasingly difficult. Their resilience in the face of hardship struck Elias deeply. He saw a reflection of his own struggles, a shared connection to the land and the desperation for survival. As the day turned to dusk, Chaytonah asked Elias why he had come this far, what had driven him to follow the faint trail. He told her about his dying ranch, the dry well, and the desperate need for water. He explained that finding the necklace had been an unexpected turn, a mystery he felt compelled to solve. Chaytonah listened patiently, her wise eyes studying him, perhaps searching for something more than just a simple explanation. Chaytonah listened intently as Elias described the plight of his ranch. She understood the desperation in his voice, the primal need for water in this arid land. She shared the concerns of her own people, their traditional springs growing weaker each year. There was a shared understanding in the small dwelling, a recognition of their common struggle against the harsh realities of their environment. As they talked, Chaytonah's gaze often returned to the silver necklace lying on a piece of soft leather between them. She spoke of Many Blessings' deep knowledge of the land, her ability to find hidden springs and understand the subtle signs of the changing seasons. A thought began to form in Elias's mind, a fragile hope that perhaps this discovery could lead to more than just the recovery of a lost artifact. Maybe, just maybe, it could lead to water. He hesitated to voice his thought, not wanting to raise false hopes, but the possibility hung heavy in the air. Chaytonah, sensing his unspoken question, spoke again. Many Blessings had a special connection to the earth, she said, her eyes distant, as if recalling a memory. She knew the secrets the land held, the places where water still flowed beneath the surface. She looked at Elias, a flicker of something unreadable in her gaze. Perhaps the return of her necklace is a sign. The idea was tentative, a whisper of possibility in the face of their shared desperation. Elias felt a surge of renewed determination. The necklace was more than just a link to the past. It could be a key to their future. The next morning, With the rising sun painting the desert sky in hues of orange and gold, Elias prepared to leave the Apache encampment. He carried with him not only the knowledge of many blessings, but also a renewed sense of purpose. Chaytonah had agreed to guide him, believing that the spirit of her sister might somehow lead them to a source of water that could help both their people and his struggling ranch. Their journey was arduous. They traveled on foot, Chaytonah leading the way with an uncanny sense of direction, her knowledge of the land profound. She pointed out subtle signs that Elias would have missed, the way certain plants grew, the patterns of the wind-blown sand, the flight of specific birds. She spoke little, but her presence was a constant reassurance. Elias, though weary, was filled with a cautious optimism. He had found water once by sheer luck, digging blindly into the earth. Now he was following the wisdom of generations, guided by a woman who seemed to understand the very heartbeat of the desert. Days turned into a week. They followed dry creek beds, climbed over rocky terrain, and endured the relentless heat. Elias learned to read the subtle language of the desert, to notice the smallest changes in the landscape. He saw the deep connection the Apache people had with their environment, a respect and understanding that was foreign to his own more pragmatic view of the land. He began to see the desert not just as an adversary, but as a living entity, full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. The silver necklace, now worn by Chaytonah, seemed to pulse with a faint energy as they moved, a silent compass guiding their steps towards an uncertain future. Their journey is underway, but the desert holds many dangers and secrets. Subscribe to the channel to see if they find the water they so desperately need. The desert tested their resolve with an almost malevolent intensity. One afternoon, a distant rumble grew into a deafening roar as a flash flood surged through a narrow canyon they were traversing. Walls of churning brown water descended with terrifying speed, forcing Elias and Chaytonah to scramble desperately up the crumbling rock faces, losing what little remained of their precious supplies. They clung to ledges, the force of the water a visceral threat just feet below them. Emerging soaked and shaken but alive, their faces streaked with mud and exhaustion. The experience forged a new layer of raw, unspoken understanding between them. A few days later, a more human danger emerged. They spotted a group of desperate bandits silhouetted against the stark horizon, their horses stirring dust clouds. The men's eyes, glinting with hunger and malice, fixed on Elias's meager pack. Chaytonah's calm demeanor was remarkable. She subtly shifted their path, guiding Elias through a less visible arroyo, while Elias's quick thinking and readiness to draw his rifle helped them avoid a direct confrontation. But the encounters served as stark reminders of the constant perils lurking in the vast, unforgiving wilderness. Through these severe trials, a profound bond of trust grew between the grizzled cowboy and the resilient Apache woman. Elias found himself increasingly admiring Chaytonah's unyielding resilience, her unwavering connection to the land, and her profound understanding of its cycles and secrets. He began to see beyond the narrow, prejudicial stereotypes of the savage that he had been raised to believe, recognizing instead her innate wisdom, her quiet strength, and her remarkable ability to read the subtle language of the desert. Chaytonah, in turn, observed Elias's unwavering determination, his fierce loyalty, and his genuine, burgeoning respect for her people and their ancient traditions. She realized he was not merely another settler intent on claiming their ancestral lands. He was a man fighting for his very survival, mirroring the age-old struggle of her own people. One sweltering afternoon, with the sun beating down mercilessly, Elias, weakened by thirst and fatigue, stumbled and fell, his vision blurring. Chaytonah immediately came to his aid, her movements swift and sure. She shared her meager ration of water, carefully pouring a few drops onto his cracked lips, and then, with practiced hands, crushed some desert herbs to soothe his parched throat. a remedy passed down through generations. Her selfless act touched Elias deeply, a moment of profound human connection in a desolate landscape. He realized then that their shared desperation had forged an improbable yet powerful alliance, a partnership built not on treaties or convenience, but on mutual respect, shared hardship, and a common, desperate hope. They were two people from vastly different worlds, united by the harsh realities of the Old West and the silent, enduring promise of a silver necklace. After what felt like endless weeks of relentless travel, guided solely by Chaytonah's ancient intuition and her uncanny ability to read the subtle, almost imperceptible signs of the land, they finally arrived at a secluded mesa. The air here felt different, cooler, carrying a faint scent of damp earth. Chaytonah explained that this place was deeply significant. Many blessings had often spoken of it in hushed tones, describing it as a hidden spring known only to a select few within their tribe. It was whispered to be profoundly protected by ancient spirits. Its exact location kept a closely guarded secret to ensure its perennial survival amidst the encroaching desiccation of the land. As they began their ascent up the rugged slopes of the mesa, the landscape underwent a remarkable, almost miraculous transformation. Sparse, rocky terrain slowly gave way to patches of vibrant green vegetation, resilient grasses, hardy shrubs, and even a few small, tenacious trees clinging to life. The air, once shimmering with heat, grew noticeably cooler, carrying a fresh, earthy scent. Then subtly at first, a faint, ethereal sound began to register, the gentle trickling of water. It grew steadily louder, morphing into a melodic symphony that filled Elias with an overwhelming surge of hope, a sensation so potent it felt like liquid sunlight warming his very soul. Chaytonah, her face etched with quiet determination, led him through a narrow, almost invisible crevice in the imposing rock face. And then, suddenly, they were there. Nestled within a small, perfectly hidden alcove was the spring itself, its water impossibly clear and cool, bubbling up from the ancient earth as if by pure magic. It wasn't a vast, gushing river, but it was undoubtedly enough, more than enough to sustain Elias's dwindling cattle herd and to offer a vital, life-giving lifeline to Chaytonah's struggling people. A wave of profound, almost dizzying relief washed over Elias, so overwhelming it nearly brought him to his knees, tears pricking at his eyes. He had done it. Against every formidable odd, against the brutal indifference of the desert, he had found water. He looked at Chaytonah, her weathered face illuminated by a quiet satisfaction, a profound serenity. The silver necklace, still clasped firmly around her neck, seemed to gleam with a renewed brilliance in the filtered sunlight, almost as if it, too, celebrated their triumph. It had led them here, not through any fantastical magic, but through the deep wisdom, the ancestral knowledge, and the enduring connection to the land that it powerfully represented. This hidden spring was more than just a source of water. It was a living, breathing testament to many blessings' deep, almost spiritual connection to the land, a sacred legacy that had miraculously endured even in her long absence. The water was far more than mere sustenance. It was a potent symbol of hope reborn, of unyielding resilience in the face of despair, and of the unexpected, powerful connections that could bloom and flourish even in the most desolate and unforgiving environments of the American West. With the awe-inspiring discovery of the hidden spring, a genuinely new chapter began for both Elias and Chaytonah's struggling people. Elias returned to his ranch, his heart lighter and brimming with a profound sense of gratitude he hadn't known in years. He immediately set about carefully directing the precious water from the spring to his parched land, watching with a mixture of relief and almost reverent gratitude as life slowly, miraculously began to return to his small, once dying spread. He knew with absolute certainty that this newfound precious resource was not just his. It was a gift, a shared blessing, a testament to the unforeseen unity forged in hardship. Driven by a new sense of purpose and a deeper understanding, Elias made regular trips back to the Apache encampment, not just to share the bounty of the spring, but also to continue learning about their rich ways, their ancient traditions, and their profound, almost spiritual respect for the land that had sustained them for generations. The silver necklace, now comfortably back in Chaytonah's safekeeping, served as a constant, tangible reminder of the unexpected, arduous journey that had irrevocably brought them together. The deep sorrow over the loss of many blessings was still keenly felt, but the miraculous rediscovery of her sacred spring offered a powerful sense of continuity, a heartfelt reaffirmation of their enduring connection to the past, and a blossoming hope for a future they would now face together. Elias, who had once been a solitary figure battling the harsh, isolating realities of the untamed West entirely alone, had found an unexpected and invaluable ally. More than that, he had gained a profoundly deeper understanding of the vast, complex land he now truly called home. The brutal conflict of the drought, which threatened to destroy everything, had ironically led to a powerful connection, a shared solution born not of conquest or dominance, but of mutual respect, empathy, and a shared desperation for survival. He knew with clear eyes that life in the unforgiving West would always present daunting challenges, but now he faced them with a newfound sense of hope, and the profound, comforting knowledge that even in the driest, most desolate of lands, life, like precious water, could always miraculously find a way. Elias and the Apache tribe have found a shared hope that transcends their differences. What lasting impact do you think their connection will have on the future of the Arizona Territory? Subscribe to the channel for more stories of resilience, unexpected alliances, and deep human connection in the Old West.